Hi, welcome to the Wolf Beat, everyone. My name is Joy, and I'm your host. Today, I am very excited to have...
Ernest Swanson.
Welcome, Ernest. So, Ernest, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And I'd love for you to talk about your wonderful art that you do.
I'm a Haida artist, but I grew up in Old Masset on Haida. And I am a jewelry artist and carver, a visual artist, I guess.
So what was your passion? Well, how did that get started?
I'd say I started out drawing, and it started out really young, and I think it was because I had a lot of friends and relatives that worked in the arts, that were carvers and designers and were around me. And I also had a father that would send me cards that he would design, and when he would send me comic books and nice little gifts like that. But I mean, he would put in a lot of detail in creating these beautiful cards and handwritten letters, and that was very inspiring for me, and I guess I just continued on designing, and it got me to a point where I would look at a carving that I admired later, in my teens, and I said to myself that I could do that. And it started off from like even drawings, right? I would see a cousin do something, and then I would copy that, and then it would be a carving, and then I would go about to copy that as well. And so that's kind of how it began. And I would have mentors that would take me under their wing, and I would get to learn with them and some of my cousins.
So when you do your artwork, what inspires you the most? Like, I'm thinking about, is it spiritual? Does it have to do with your surroundings? Does it have to do with animal life? What is the main thing that when you carve, for example?
I think it has a little bit of all those things that you're touching on. It has spiritual. It has the like that mysticism of our animal kin. It also a part of my culture and where I'm from. And I think a lot of it is like inner visual. Like it comes from, I don't know, I guess your creativity, intuition. So I see a lot of these things, and I feel like I can associate a lot with animals, and our connection to them, and a lot of the things and that that are just kind of, they're powerful, and I respect the animal kingdom, and so to be able to pay homage to that is pretty cool, and I get to create that all the time.
So is there any specific animals that you like to bring out in your artwork? Anything special, or?
Well, I feel they're all special, but I think for some of the crests that I create, that I do more of, I feel like bears and octopus, ravens, and eagles. Lately it's been octopus, but I really am drawn to the bear crest.
So what does that represent to you? Does it represent some kind of strength or hope, or what does that really?
That's a good question. Well, it does represent strength, but the bear also represents family and a great sense of power and knowing, the confidence within a bear, to be able to be on his own and be able to take care of his own, you know, just very sure of himself. And maybe I relate to that.
Mm-hmm. I noticed when we came to your studio, you were working on some pieces, and I just wondered, how did that start? Like, I know that you do carving, you also do jewelry, and you've showed us your drums and things like that.
As far as drums, that's something that I learned on my own by study, and even the jewelry making process that you had witnessed me doing there when you visited my studio, and that particular medium is called reposé, which is a European style of jewelry making, and I had a fascination with it for some time, and what you were looking at there was a lot of the tools that I use, these punches and other types of punches. They have different names, but I would look up these different types of tools, and I just had it in my mind again, I can do that. And so I just got some steel, and I made my own tools to do that type of work.
Oh, that's beautiful. How long did it take you to do this? Like, how long does it take you?
It would depend. I mean, I could probably make about 4 to 6 tools a day.
Oh, wow.
Just those smaller ones. I mean, I do make a variety of my own knives as well for carving.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of that, you know, I kind of learned a lot of that on my own, how to forge my own steel. And you know, I was taught how to grind down steel and put these hollow grinds on my knives to be able to cut through red cedar. But I wasn't really shown how to forge my own knives. And I think later in life, I took it upon myself to study and how to do that. I mean, I had witnessed some of it when I was younger, but I mean, I was kind of aloof in the whole learning process, you know, and that's my fault. So from what I could remember, I was able to put that together and also with a bit of study, and you know, going forward, I'm able to create my own knives and so on.
Yeah, that's quite a feat anyways, you know, just to be able to do that alone, I would think. So when you get into a piece, do you envision what you think the outcome's going to be, or do you have an idea what you would like to create? Or I'm just thinking, like, when you're doing drums or things like that, do you know ahead of time, okay, this is what I'm setting out to do, and how long does it usually take you to do it?
Well, for drums, well, it depends, but for the most part, when I'm using lace and hide and the preparations, it would take me, I'd say, anywhere about 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours to do a nice one, you know. But I would say more 4 hours if I was like great at it, right? So, but yes, I do have a visual of how it's going to turn out, and so that visualization also applies to a lot of the work that I do, and I mean, I think it applies to life. I mean, that's kind of manifestation too, right? So, I mean, you know, I'm not perfect, so sometimes my visualization is pretty cloudy, you know. I mean, I have a lot of things going on, you know, living day to day. But for the most part, if I can ground myself, and the visualization is a lot of fun.
Right. Well, that's exciting. That's really exciting. Very exciting future for you. Do you, what do you see down the road with all of this? You know, because you have created so many different things, from my perspective, you know, from your carvings to your jewelry to a lot of things, you know.
Well, down the road, obviously I wish I'd like to do more. I mean, I'd like to play and do other mediums as well, but I mean, I wish I could do them all. I mean, I've got a lot to play with here, and you know, I don't know if I'm ever going to retire, because it's so much fun to create, and you can endure in everything, really. But down the road, I would hope to get to a place that that I would do big enough pieces and fascinating works that I could take the time to work on others, and it's really beautiful to continue to do this kind of work. I mean, it pays a lot of homage to my home of Haida and my ancestors, and I feel like it's really healing for me, and for what it's brought me. I mean, it's saved me in a lot of ways from.
So in what way?
Well, for me growing up, it was an outlet. I grew up in a small reserve, in Old Masset, and we come from families that, I come from a family that survived schools, boarding school, residential school, and I had an outlet, and art was that for me, and I got into some naughty things, growing up, and almost went down paths that I shouldn't have, and things that I learned from that, and it was this art that really saved me, and a lot of my grandmother's guidance, and she's passed now, but she said to me that a lot of these things, like a lot of the art out there, because I had a lot of questions, she's like, the art that's being created by Haida, it's within you, they could do anything. She said, like my brothers, like she would say about her brothers, they could do anything. And so I believe like a lot of that belief system kind of came from there, and that being so sure of themselves, right? And I feel like I adopted that.
And that's why you're so successful today. Right? I guess
you.
that's something that I think that you should be so proud of, and I'm sure your family are very proud of you as well,
I would say so. I'm proud. I'm proud of how far I've come, and I'm excited to see what more is to come. I honestly feel like in my 40s right now, like this is just the beginning.
Right. Well, it is really.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is, and it seems to me what's coming across is you just love what you're doing.
I do.
And when you love something, it's like there's just no end. Like then you want to create more, or you want to do something different, or what I mean, create something. It just goes on, and that's a good feeling. That must really feel really good inside.
It really does. It's funny because my partner, she would have to, she'd have to call me to get me to come home, or come from the studio, come home and spend time with your family, because I mean, or even if I am home, I'll go work in my other office, and she'll have to pry me away from my tools or whatever I'm tinkering, right? And I really enjoy making tools, and or just little things, it's just I can never stop working with my hands.
Right. Well, I'm sure your family, and especially your children or your daughter, she sees that, and that probably is a great inspiration for her too.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
And that another point. A point I wanted to make too. Like my daughter, I don't try to force any of this on her. I'm like, you have to be a carver. Here's a knife.
Yeah.
I feel like if she is asking, but I feel like if I just keep that boiling, and keeping the desire and want there, that she will gravitate to it, and just when she gets into it, she'll respect it, and desire is like there, right? And I feel like that, you know, I don't need to force that on her.
No, but I think motivation is a great inspiration for kids. It really is for children.
Mhm.
You know, they see you loving something as a parent, and you know, then they think, okay, well, I'm going to try that. You know, or maybe they'll try something else. But the inspiration will be there for whatever they do.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I see a bright future for her, and you know, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
She'll have any talent that, you know, I have to share with her.
Mm-hmm. Ernest, one of the things that I noticed in your studio was your beautiful jewelry. Now, what is the process of how you create, you know, some of your beautiful pieces? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, it normally starts out with a design, and so I'll design what I think it will look like, and what I really enjoy doing is I'll look at, say, if it's an animal, right? So I'll look at photographs or things of animals, their natural movements and contours, and you know, I will try to you know, put that into my work, those natural movements, and you know, adopt that. But obviously, you know, creating it in my own way, my style, and then once I get the design, and once I get, you know, I'll go through a process, because like I'm almost never happy right in the beginning, so I'll continue to work that design and refine it. And once I'm happy with that, then I will lay that design out on, say if it's a bracelet, for example, I would lay it out on there, and then I'd redraw it on. And so it's a long process. I mean, I'm a little bit old-fashioned with that. And then the next thing is, if I'm doing, say, you know, if I'm engraving, then, you know, I get it all prepped and the metal prepped, and then I'll put it on to into my pitch. And you know, heat that pitch up, and then put the piece there, and then of course I have my engraving tools, and I would use a liner to line everything in. And then on the other medium, repoussé, which is another European art form, and I talked about that earlier. I would take the design, and this is going to be sculpture, so I put it and I lay it out on, say, the gold or the silver or copper. And I would like line that all in, like scribe it, or you know, pen, and then scribe it in, and that's like a little metal scribe to mark on the metal. And then I would go about placing it in another pitch bowl, which is a different type of pitch. And I would take a liner, it's called a liner, and a hammer, and I would I'd line it in, and so I would tap the whole design in as I've designed it. And the next step is I would take this piece, and I would heat the metal red hot, and then I let it cool off naturally. And so what that does is it spreads the molecules within the metal, and this is called annealing. And so you want to work metal when it's annealed and soft. And so you would take that and you'd push that metal out. And so I'd use these punches to shape it out, and those contours are created, and that's what they call repoussé, when you bring out those contours, that shape. And once that all gets done, like all that hammering actually pulls the molecules together, and that's what hardens the metal, right? And so it hardens up, and it's a lot harder to work like that. So I have to reheat it again. So I take it out of the pitch, you know, I put it in like a alcohol bath to get all that pitch off, and then I burn it off, and then I reheat it to red hot, and then that's when I put it in the pitch again, and then I I take my other punches or and then I start the process of chasing. And so hammer, chasing tool, and so then I'll start off and pushing things back to bring out the sculpture. And so this process takes a while, you know, and see, I'm like, I haven't been doing it that long, so I can't say that I'm professional at it, but it's like one of those things where I said I can do that, and you know, it's like the beginning of that, right? But it's very exciting because like I obsessed over these tools and how to go about these processes, and I already had an understanding of working metal, so applying that to this was like pretty easy, and so it's really exciting because like I have like liners and bozers, punches, undercutters, and those are a variety of the names, and then I got those are the names of all the tools that I use for chasing. And then I've got multiple hammers, like heavy, really heavy steel hammers that I would use depending on the job, right?
Right.
And so my punches and all those can be different sizes, from really small, like small narrow pieces, to like big punches, right? So I would collect all the steel that I would find, and I'd make myself some new punches and whatever the job was. But so that's a bit of the process, because it, you know, it's a lot of fun when you start sculpting things out like that. And
I bet.
yeah.
That takes a lot of steady handwork as well, too, I would think.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, learning to use your tools is another part, right? Whether it's engraving or repoussé chasing, and you know, you would think you'd have to hold those little tools, you know, tight, but you don't. You're kind of letting it, you know, each time you hit it, you're kind of letting, you know, you're being gentle and kind of guiding it, and you have to feel it through. You know, I had a friend of mine that taught me that, and you know, I understand what he meant now, right? And then engraving, you know, I have to plant my elbows, and it's a whole other different style of jewelry making, and planting my elbows and using a 40-pound block to maneuver while I'm doing these lines. It's a whole other way of carving. And then wood carving is the other one I really love. I mean, the process there is beautiful, and I have a love for working with cedar. However, I'm allergic to cedar, so that's well, it doesn't diminish my love at all. I mean, it makes me love it more, really. And I mean, that's actually how I got into doing jewelry, is because I had an allergy to cedar. And I mean, I still have that, but I mean, I manage it, and I try to do all my work with tool finishing, because the dust really irritates me, and you know, like it's just I guess it's just the way it is, because you know, like a lot of the carvers that I know that I've grown up with are not allergic to cedar, not like I am, which is, you know,
That would be hard.
It is, but it doesn't stop me.
Yeah, that's good. So just one quick question. I
Sure.
just wanted to know, where do you get your materials? Like, how do you, when you decide, okay, I'm going to make, you know, certain kind of necklaces or bracelets or things, you know, do you have to melt these all down? And
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I used to buy a lot of my material, and I mean, I still buy some material as I need it, but lately I roll out my own metals. You know, like small sheets of silver. If I need it, I'll roll that out. And as for gold, you know, I'm able to roll all that out on my own, and that's another fun thing. Is like to be able to play with fire and you know, melt metals, and particularly gold and silver, and it's really fun to roll it all out. And you know, I mean, it does take time.
I bet.
But it's pretty empowering when you're able to do a lot of these little things on your own.
You sound like you're very proud of all the people that, you know, that worked with you and you know, made you feel confident, make you feel like you belong, and that you know, proud of your culture your heritage,
Absolutely.
right?
And I feel like, I feel like I'm an ambassador to that, right? I mean, I feel like I walk with a lot of that pride, and yeah, absolutely, so much gratitude, and
Yeah.
you know, and it's pretty awesome to be able to have such wonderful teachers and influences like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just want to thank my nation and my people back home for raising me. It takes a
Yeah.
community to raise a Haida artist anyway. So I think I'm grateful for that. I've had a lot of wonderful mentors, and and I feel like I continue to have mentors and getting better with my craft. And I guess I'm really grateful for the ones that took the time to teach me. And I'll forever be grateful for that. Through a lot of the, through a lot of the stuff that we've come through, as Indigenous people, there's so much pride in my nation, that that comes with that art, and it just, you could see it, you could feel it, and I'm happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, I can see that you're very proud of the person that you are, and that's so nice to hear. That's really refreshing, actually.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, you're a lucky man.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, thank you for being on the show.